Hello, hello. It's Chantal Adams with you today, and I have one of my dear sisters and friends and business bestie, Elena Lipson, with me today. She was also one of the very, very first ladies, and maybe even the first to sign up. I should have kept that very, very first to sign up for Center Stage when it was just this brand new idea that I was just birthing out into the world. And so I am honored to have you here 3 years later to share your thoughts and experiences with Center Stage, but also with speaking in your business and where you are now. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I would never say no.
You're so great. You're so great. I love it. And I want you, though, to tell a little bit more about who you are and what you do, because it's magical.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I can't wait to share all the ways that you've influenced me. And I could just feel the emotion coming up already just because, 3 years later, we are friends and we've been through so much of evolution together in our personal lives and our business lives. And we know each other personally and professionally. So I'm just going to gush. But thank you so much for having me. So I am the Divine Self-Care Mentor, and I help women really anchor into several things in their lives. And it's and I actually created this anchor model, which I'm so excited to share next year. I'm actually sharing it for the first time with you, but it's really about being authentic, nurturing, connected, and courageous, which you love. So the C has two, being hopeful, because that's where we need to be. We need to be in the sense of like, this is possible. I can feel it, even if it's a seed of hope. Being open and orgasmic, and then being ready and resilient. So it's an anchor model that has 3 elements to it, which is embodiment through daily ritual. It has a dream calendar and magic mornings. And all of that gets infused to this year-long program that I've created over the actually, this is our 3rd year coming up. So I really help women to reconnect with their voice, with their body, and through just choosing to put themselves on the calendar every day, every week, month, quarter, year, they really come back to who they are now and really incorporate everything that's happened to them in their lives to come through in a expanding business, beautiful relationships, and all the messy stuff too is in there. Like this morning I did a whole live stream on I'm lonely, I'm tired, I'm planning, what do I do? I just need a hug. And I really just need a hug. I feel like I need that physical, presence. And so part of being an entrepreneur can be lonely. So I'm also very real about it. I don't live like a 100% unicorn charmed life, but I am very, very grateful for everything I do get to do. I live a pretty rad life. So that's crafted and created, and this is what I really try to infuse into the work that I do as a self-care coach. Really, it's the essence of it. It's I help you to put yourself back on the top of the list, on the calendar, and to really feel that you are not just living from here, but you're also in your body, and that can feel amazing and pleasurable and gorgeous. And so that infuses everything I do.
I love it. And I remember when we met too, I mean, over the 3 years, you've been the best little fairy godmother or something that comes in at any time. You can see that I'm about to launch something or I'm creating an event or doing something. You're and what are you doing for you? Or how are you taking care of yourself through this process? And it's oh, right. And it's so important. It's something, I'm one of those tough nuts to crack a little bit, but I'm coming along. But it is so important to take care of you so that you can take care of your business and you have more creativity and more flow and more passion and all that.
We all know that, but my goal is to make it so doable that it's just well, what do I do in the morning? What do I do in the afternoon? What do I do to get that? So that's where I'm people just want to know what to do on a daily basis. So I get it. It's, there's so much to do out there.
I love it. And your message is so clear. And I remember, 3 years ago, you definitely had that focus. But I also remember, it's so funny because I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the whole analogy that all of a sudden we were playing with flowers and blooming and planting those seeds.
Yes.
And that fertile soil and ground. And it was just this beautiful kind of working of your message and being able to kind of create this beautiful metaphor and for what became kind of your logo and your branding and things as well through that process in Center Stage. But tell me a little bit more of kind of why you said yes.
Okay, so I remember the exact moment, and you posted in B school, and there was something about you. I think we had just barely met, but there was something about your energy that I really connected with, and I'm very intuitive. So when it's a yes, it's a yes. I don't even take time to be like A and B, and what should I do? I'm like,
love it.
I need that. I need to know my story. I need to be able to get it out there because, I mean, you've seen me talk and on stages and things like that. I can talk a very long time and I can rattle on and on and on. And for me, I'm really focused on how do I get concise? How do I get that clear? And it's almost like I understand now that sometimes what you don't say and what you choose to say, that's as important. So I was feeling all those things. I was just launching this whole self-care thing, and I've been a coach for many years, but this was very near and dear to me because it was based on my own healing journey of my own body and physical heart and relationship and being a mom. And I had gone through this sort of dark moment where I'm like, oh, I don't even know. And so I went through this whole yoga journey and self-care journey for myself. And I was ready to start figuring out how to teach it and share it. And that was that moment. I'm like, oh, I just know I need to tell my story. I just don't know how. And I know I can write and talk, but I don't know how to really nail it down so that I can really reach the people I need to. And that's what I sensed when you put it out there. And it was such as authentic, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm clear. And I had seen you do some stuff. So I was already your energy's on point. You're just so authentic and heart-based. And I know this is going to be whatever it's going to be awesome. So I just felt a big yes. And that's when I was a little PayPal link or something. I'm I'm doing it. And at the same time, I was saying yes to several things. I was going to this networking thing and I was working on my marketing. I just knew that this was a piece of it. So I can remember yes, oh God, I told my husband, I just invested in this thing and it's going to be my story and this is going to be the thing that really takes it to the next level. And it really did in a lot of ways. So I was so excited that not only did it connect me to you as a mentor and a teacher, but as a friend. And so it's dividends, return on investment.
Yeah.
In many ways, personally and professionally. So yeah.
So beautiful. Yes. And that is so funny that you bring up because it was just a blog post with an ugly PayPal link because I didn't have any support or any team. I didn't know what to do. So that is so awesome that you even saw that and still trusted that this would be something awesome. So yes, thank you so much. And I remember too, you had talked about a lot of people, and there's kind of a little bit of a misconception of the work. A lot of people come into Center Stage and then they leave saying, this isn't just a speaking course. This is an entire business course because of the clarity, because of the messaging, because speaking is not just about speaking live and on stage, but speaking online as well. And one of the kind of reservations you had was that you didn't want to just be traveling all over the place. You had a little guy at home. And so you're thinking, and a lot of people do think that what I'm teaching is that you're only speaking live on stage, but it's the whole gamut of just being clear on your message and interviews and podcasts and webinars and video blogs. And there's so many ways to use speaking. So what did that feel like for you kind of coming into that, knowing, well, I don't want to go speaking all the time all over the place, but
yeah, the major word for me was always leverage. I knew I wanted to create something that I could be in my office and then wrap it up and go back into my family. And I was very clear that I love speaking. I actually love the stage. I wanted to be an actress. That fear thing wasn't really there for me. Yeah. And I went into corporate training as a career so it was corporate training and coaching. So it was developing curriculum and teaching curriculum and traveling and teaching all of that. And I loved it. But there is a career path to that, which is as kind of a speaking path. And I knew I didn't want that because, well, at that point, I still think it was a little bit of a limiting belief, which I can talk to you about later. I didn't see how I could merge being this traveling person and a good mom the way I wanted to mom and be wife and all of that. So it just wasn't quite merging. So for me, I was like, well, I know I want my story clear, but I don't necessarily want to take it on stage. I remember we had this one conversation and you're like, well, but you are telling your story because when you do your webinars or when you do your interviews, which I've done over 100 interviews, probably more than that now between summits and interviews, it was like being on stage, because you had to be very present, you had to be very clear, you had to have your talking points, you had to guide the conversation. And I did so many of them that I remember I kept refining and refining and refining my story. So once you said that to me, you're like, speaking is not just on stage. It's every time that you're out there sharing your story, whether it's a webinar or a blog interview or an audio interview or a podcast, whatever it is. And that's how I treated it. Like, I was going to get really good at getting intuitive. Like, you have to get the skills down first so that you can be intuitive in the moment. And so I think once you gave me that permission to be like, it's all speaking. Ironically enough, it did land me on stages. I was a keynote for Be Great last year, and I've been on your stage this year. What year are we in this year? And I've co-hosted many retreats where you end up like speaking to a crowd of people. And so I've crafted it to my way of speaking. But I do enjoy the stage element as well, because there's something beautiful about being on stage and sharing your story and connecting with the audience and getting intimate and personal, vulnerable. And I'm still a work in progress, for sure, because I want to keep getting better and better at it and choose the stages that I speak on and do it really, really well. So I think the best advice that you gave me was to just see speaking as this bigger thing, not just when I'm on stage, but also when I'm sharing my message. And it was really transformational, because I think what you can see happen when you get clear is that all of a sudden I was getting interview requests literally daily for self-care, because my message was coming through loud and clear when I was talking about planting the seeds of self-care and how it was the return on investment in your business and your life and the bedroom. And once that languaging came through and it started resonating, it was like, boom, I was on so many interviews, and I kept hearing, how do you do that? You're everywhere. No, I am, because I'm very consciously saying yes to these interviews. Maybe it's 10 people, maybe it's 1,000 people, maybe it's 10, whatever the audience. It was me practicing telling my story. And so I think that was such valuable advice, and it's been huge. And I know I've gotten clients that way, and, recognition and magazine covers and fun things like that, because it comes through clearly, because I know what I do clearly.
Yes. And it is, I think that's one of the things that is repeated over and over in different testimonials and things from center stage, is just that clarity. It's just the clarity that then funnels into all areas of your business. And when you have that clarity, like you said, that's when people start taking notice, and they start going, okay, because you're so clear, they know exactly what you're going to speak on. They know exactly what they need you for. And that's where the invitations come. And to have, I know you had said, over 100 in like the first 1 or 2 years, right? Which is a lot. That's a lot of interviews and summits and podcasts and opportunities to be in front of incredible audiences and on that online stage. And that's a beautiful way. And I also love how you said that you choose your stages. And I think that's really important, because even for myself, I kind of put my own personal speaking on the back burner a little bit as I grew the online business. And this next year I'm saying yes to getting out on that stage. And so I now have at least 1 gig a month, which feels like, okay, that's good. We're good. But people, you can speak 1 or 2 times a year and have that ability to build that credibility, those in-person connections. It can be an event that you want to attend anyways. A lot of these are events where I'm like, I want to be there anyways. And so to be able to go and be able to have the opportunity to speak is just icing on the cake. So that's what's been happening for you now too, is that you're able to choose those live events and be selective, and you don't have to be traveling, 5 days a month or more, or whatever it is. It can be very selective. It could be 3 times a year or 4 times a year.
Exactly. And I travel quite a bit now. So all those limiting beliefs about traveling, like I just did an audit of my year, and I had I've been traveling 10 times, and it was beautiful. Some were speaking, some were retreats, some were, so now I see speaking differently now. Now I feel like a lot of what I learned through your course and just watching you do your thing and going to your event twice, knowing that there's so much to be gained from getting a different perspective on speaking on stage. And so I'm definitely going to challenge myself to invite more of that opportunity. And I'm going to go back to the material actually. And like you were talking about before the call, you're like, maybe you need to go do a center stage again. Maybe time to do that, because when you focus on developing a specific skill, you're going to start attracting the opportunities. So I want to make sure I'm ready. So I think it's not just a one and done is a big deal too. So the fact that I took your course 3 years ago, but I'm still crafting, I'm still refining, and I'm still trying to figure out what to say, what not to say. How do you do it? It's a little bit of a mystery to me because I don't do it all the time.
Right.
I feel like if I start focusing on it, like you said, once you start really calling it in and focusing and applying, and I do get those speaking gigs, I feel like there's a real opportunity to go back again and keep coming back to it, because it's a craft. It's not like a badge that you just have and it's on. I'm a speaker, that's it. Like, I feel like it's an ongoing, like 10 years from now, I'll have different skill sets I want to build. But right now, I think because we communicate so much, everything we do, our sales pages and our videos and Facebook Lives, even I have clients who are like, what do I say on Facebook Live? I'm like, well, part of it is sort of press record and talk. But the other part of it is you need to have a strategy. Like, who are you? Why are you there? What do you want them to do afterwards? And it's the same messages that I learned from your course, which is, what are you saying? What do you want people to do? Like, what do you want them to feel? What do you want them to think? What questions are you asking? So there's this real skill to it, and you're gifted at it. Like, even just watching you do what you do on stage, hearing someone's ramble of 20 minutes and then concisely bringing it into this like 3 to 5 minute thing, it's just a gift that you have. So I would definitely pay to do that again.
Well, you get center stage for a lifetime, so you come back and do it again, girl.
So good.
Yes, no, and it is so powerful that you can use it in every aspect, right? And with Facebook Live, and it is like every time I do an interview, I am intentionally looking at very similar framework and process that I use to speak live on the stage. It is that, what I know they're going to ask me what my story is, being able to pare it down even more, because it's an interview and you're only there for 20 minutes or less. And then being able to, you don't want to lose them, but being able to then craft it in a way that it really sets you up as that expert, leads into what the tips or strategies or lessons you're going to be teaching, right? So there's definitely an art to that, but then also being able to have those powerful talking points, what I call the tweetables, or, things that are going to bring your message even more to the forefront. So that's so good. So good. So if anyone was thinking about center stage, what would you say to them?
I would say 100% do it, and here's why. There's so many people out there doing this right now. Like there's more and more every day coming to do this work, which is awesome and amazing and wonderful. The key to everything is to stand out. And in order to stand out, you have to be clear on your story, why you're doing what you're doing, how it's important and why it's important to others. And so there is a story piece in there that you're really good at helping people craft, because you can find a person who does Facebook ads, you can find a person who does webinar courses, all these things are available. But what is it that makes someone stand out is really their story. It's their light that shines through. And if you're just like, when I say the reason I want women to really get back on their calendar and do the work that they do is they're not a template. And so I think that's probably the last thing that you'd get from the center stage live or in person, is that you're not a template, but you're going through a process that helps you bring out and remove the layers of who you think you have to be, and giving you and I use the word courage a lot, and it really is courageous to press record or step on stage and be who the hell you are.
Yeah.
There's a point where it's like, I just remember I feel like over the last 3 years, I've gone through this process of like, oh, you're always so grounded and you're always so this. No, that's the feedback I get. And I'm like, yeah, and not really. Like there are times where I'm just like a sobbing mess, or I'm just, sad, or I'm like, today, I'm like, it's really important for you guys to know that I am sad and I'm lonely today. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did my morning routine. Yes, I'm going for a walk. Yes, I did my prayers. Yes, I know abundance is all around me and I'm grateful, but this is what I'm feeling, and here's why, and here's what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to let myself feel it. I'm going to cry if I have to, but I'm going to go out there and like hug someone and just, because I'm not someone who's like, I'm not going to curl up in a ball for sure. I definitely ask myself, like, what do I need now? What do I need now? So coming back to why this course. I think it's so important to give yourself permission to let your story inspire other people, and let your story be real, and let it be the driving force of the work that you're doing, because that's that's the heart piece that people are going to connect with. And there's no one else more brilliant at it than you are, Chantel. And this is not just because the record button is on, but I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it on stage in the moment where there's no preparation. I've seen you do it with me on that very first call where I wrote my little North Star, and we were on the phone live, and I remember you're like, ooh, and you just helped me like massage it and craft it and make it very clear. And even just being validated by you seeing what I was writing and seeing like, yeah, this is good, this is worthy, like these are the points, and let's pull these through. And to me, that process really was the foundation of now going into my third year of teaching a self-care circle and having women from around the world join it, because they see me telling my story in interviews, podcasts, blog posts. I ask people, where'd you find me? Like, oh, I heard you telling your story on this podcast. I'm like, yes. And I want to know, because it's not random. It's very clearly guided. Like, people want to work with me because I have said words that have connected to their heart, and that's a story. And so I've seen you do it. I've seen you tell your story. When we were at that event in Vancouver, we got to meet for the first time, and I saw you do what you do for the first time, which is tell that story in like 10 minutes, and we're all crying. And I think you got like an awesome client out of that, and it was just this luncheon, and it was just this little thing, but you came and you told your story. And so that is what you do. And I think, more than any other course that you can have under your belt, learning to tell your story is where you start.
It is. It's a foundation of everything I've realized through this work. I just knew it was a part of a speech, right? That's a crucial part of a speech. And then as I did this work, I'm like, wait a minute, it's the foundation of everything, of your branding, of your programs, your products, how you show up, what you teach. It really brings that foundation all together.
Your website, like if you can tell a story through your website, it's all connected, it's all there.
And it gives you that clarity of message that leads to everything else good. And so thank you. You are amazing. I love hearing you. I love the success that you've had in your business, the women that you've been able to reach and teach and support. And because you are willing to be seen and to be heard and to speak up and to deliver 100 interviews online and to get on that stage and to share your story, it is a beautiful thing. And I love that we are still learning and growing and connecting and supporting each other. And that's what this work is all about, is being able to be surrounded by those who are on that similar path. So thank you.
Can I just be very real for a minute?
Of course.
Here's the real deal. Like, this is still a work in progress for sure. Because when I was invited to your stage, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I have this opportunity. I swear to God, everything went out the window. Like, every strategy about how to close a sale or how to get people to be interested in it, all I was concerned about was telling a story. And that's what I did for like 20 minutes. And I even went over time, and you were so gracious to let me go over time. And I told a good story, and I got tears, and I got laughter, and I got validation, but I didn't get anyone being like, I want to join your program.
Yeah.
Because I never even really talked about it. And so I am committing to going back and making sure that I marry the storytelling with the business strategy, and in that little middle ground is where I want to be next year. So
absolutely,
grace of that. And if you give me a chance to do it again, I promise I'll do better.
You were amazing and brilliant. And it was one of those things. I remember Elena came back for feedback afterwards. And I did say, it wasn't a beautiful story, but there is, here's some strategies, here's some thoughts, here's some ways that you can and work on it. And that's the beauty of it, is that every time we have that opportunity to speak and to be on the stage, we learn and grow. And you being open to that and being willing to receive that, and then being willing to put in that time and effort to work on that craft even more is exactly where we need to be. And you're right. It is something that I continue to work on every single time I step on the stage. And that's why every time I step on the stage, I still get those butterflies, and because I want to do my best and I want to push that envelope a little bit further, and I want to keep continuing to grow and learn and master that craft. So,
well, thank you for letting me share that. I think it was important for people to know, like, it's not a perfect moment. There's mess ups along the way, and it's
totally, and it is all good, and people love you for it, and it's that growth moment that we can learn from.
Yes.
So,
I'll never forget that.
Well, I love you, and thank you so much for being here and taking time, and I want to give you a big hug.
Oh, I need it today.
I wish we were closer. But thank you so much for sharing your experience and really, hitting home that message that there are stages available for us everywhere. And no more time than now are we able to build that platform and create that stage wherever we are. So thank you so much for hitting that message home and for doing the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing your work.
Of course. Take care.